You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose.
It's the only way to learn. You have to fail. Failure is a part of the process to becoming successful.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
You can't let your failures define you. You have to let your failures teach you.
Always keep going. Always. I've come to find out is that, no matter what happens, the storm eventually ends. And when the storm does end, you want to make sure that you're ready.
We are kicking off the new year with this new mindset. If you haven't watched my last video about starting the new year on the best note, on becoming the best version of yourself and actually setting goals that last and stick, you need to watch it. That video is extremely important because in this video, we're going to be talking about why, how, and how failure is one of the most important parts of becoming the best version of yourself and reaching your goals. I've had a lot of you reach out to me on Instagram asking about how to deal with failure and the fear of failure. And I get a lot of this, especially with a lot of my clients, asking about how to overcome that fear of feeling like, what if I won't be able to lose weight? What if I won't be able to do this? Failure is extremely important in life, extremely important. I used to be in a very, very dark place growing up, and I failed a lot. And a lot of times I wouldn't like when other people would see me fail because I didn't want to taint people's perception of me, but that in itself kept me from a lot of success I could have gotten a lot sooner. When you are constantly caring about what other people think, how other people view you, and what other people's perception of you is, you're not going to get very far. And the reason why is because when you care so much about what other people think, everybody's going to think of different things. Because everybody is raised differently, they have different perceptions of what's right, what's wrong, what's acceptable, what's not, what they want in life and what they don't want in life, just on the simple fact that no two people are the same, no people are raised the same. Me and my sisters, for example, I love them. They are amazing, but we are all extremely different, but we were all raised in the same house. So we view things very differently, very differently. We have different perceptions on what things should look like, what things shouldn't look like. We have different perceptions on what we need in a man and what we don't want. There's a lot of differences, and differences are okay. Accepting that everyone is going to have a different viewpoint, because if you let other people dictate what you're feeling, dictate how you feel about yourself, dictate what you need to be doing with your life, why? For example, I love my parents to death, but they did not necessarily believe that I could do what I'm doing right now. And you have to realize a lot of people's disbelief in you comes from their disbelief in themselves. At 19 and 20 years old, neither of my parents were trying to start a business, so it seems unlikely that it's possible for their daughter. And that's very understandable, that's very common, that's normal with almost every parent on the planet, right? You have a couple exceptions here and there, but for most of the population, that's just how it goes. So you want to please them, you want to make them proud, and failing is definitely not an option. So if they think that you'll fail and they're your parents, then that must be true, right? No.
There's a lot of people in your life that don't believe in you, frankly, and will reinforce the negative thoughts that you have rather than reinforce the positive thoughts. There's a lot of people that are going to be rooting against you actively because you're a mirror of their deepest fears, and it doesn't make them feel good to see you chasing your dreams. So they're kind of like in the shadows hoping you fail a little bit. It's most of the time the people that love you the most that are even sometimes unknowingly holding you back from becoming the version of yourself that you need to become. And it's from this place of, I love you and I care for you, and I don't want to see you get hurt or get rejected or fail or be embarrassed. I don't want to see any of those things happen, so I'm going to try to protect you and discourage you from heading down this path at all.
You're going to do what you know you can do. If you know you can do it, if you know you can succeed, nobody should be able to tell you that you can't. No one. It doesn't matter how well that they know you, because no one will know you as good as you know you. And if you don't believe that you can do it, that's when you truly fail. For every failure that you have, you learn a lesson. You learn something important and you come out stronger. You know the saying, quitters never win, winners never quit. It's so true, and it's so important, because if you allow failure to defeat you, if you allow your losing season to defeat you, then you can't grow into an amazing person, the person that you want to be. And this is something that I learned this year, especially because I failed so much this year. Failure was my best friend. It really was. I failed in a lot of relationships. I failed in a lot of aspects of my business. I even failed like a lot in school. And you know, each time you fail, you learn something. If we all had a straight A life, we all had straight A finances and straight A friends, we wouldn't learn anything and life would be boring. It's the risk of failure. It is the learning from failure that keeps life interesting. It keeps us going. Because with everything that you do in life, every choice that you make in life comes with a risk. Everything. Some things are higher risk, some things are lower risk, but there's a risk with everything. And you have to accept that failure might happen. And if it does, you just keep going. You decide for yourself, pre-decide that you will keep going even if this fails. Because there's not a failure on this planet that can defeat you. Not a single failure. I've seen people that have come out of being homeless to being one of the wealthiest people I know. If it's possible for them, it's possible for you. And the only reason you're different is because you might not believe in yourself, and they did. Never let your circumstances define you, because they don't define you. You define you. And if you define yourself as somebody that is afraid of failure and afraid that they're not going to make it and afraid that nothing's going to work out for them, then I'm sorry, but you get what you believe. Just like you manifest good things into your life, you can also manifest bad things into your life. Each time you fail, it is so important that you pivot into a positive direction. You need to have a game plan. Make sure that you are pivoting into a positive direction, not a negative spiral. What I see a lot of people do is when they fail, they beat themselves up. They don't see what they can learn from it. They just see it as a failure. They let that consume them. They cry themselves to sleep at night because a relationship failed or a friendship failed or something just didn't work. And if something doesn't work, that's fine. That doesn't mean that's the answer to everything. That doesn't mean that all of your relationships will be like that. That doesn't mean that all of your friendships will be like that. It doesn't mean that your entire business will be like that. It doesn't mean that, you know, your finances will always be like that. It does not define your future. It's just one moment. And if you can't figure out what it is in that moment that you can learn, then the cycle will repeat itself. And until you learn enough times what you can do to either avoid the situation or get better and improve so that situation doesn't even happen, it will just keep happening. It's part of God's tests and trials. Until you can pass the test, it will keep happening and happening and happening. But if you see each one of those tests as a way to learn, like, what are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to teach me, God? What can I learn from this? What in this situation will help me grow as a person? And how can I act more like my higher self and handle this situation instead of acting out of fear?
A human being. I just want to end with this. There are no mistakes. There really aren't any, because you have a supreme destiny. When you're in your little mind, in your little personality mind, where you're not centered, where you really don't know who you are, that you come from something greater and bigger, and that we really all are the same. When you don't know that, you get all flustered. You get stressed all the time, wanting something to be what it isn't. There is a supreme moment of destiny calling on your life. Your job is to feel that, to hear that, to know that. And sometimes when you're not listening, you get taken off track. You get in the wrong marriage, the wrong relationship, you take the wrong job. Yeah, but it's all leading to the same path. There are no wrong paths. There are none. There's no such thing as failure, really, because failure is just that thing trying to move you in another direction. So you get as much from your losses as you do from your victories, because the losses are there to wake you up. When you understand that, you don't allow yourself to be completely thrown by a circumstance, because your life is bigger than any one experience.
Another thing that is super important is taking into account that success that comes easy goes easy. When you hear stories about people winning the lottery, you think that, oh wow, they're so lucky, they're They're just like amazing, I'm so happy for them. But a lot of times when these people win the lottery, they end up blowing the money in 2 months, 2 years, 3 years max. And you wonder why. One, they weren't prepared for that much amount of money. They didn't have a wealth mindset, and they weren't able to appreciate that wealth because they didn't work for it. When you work for something and you learn something from your failures, you appreciate it that much more. If you are in a season right now where you're not winning and you're not getting the money, you're not getting the payoff, you're not getting the return on your hard work, it's okay. Everyone goes through that season. And that is a great thing, because that just makes the success be that much more worth it and meaningful to you. And that is so important, because if you just get success on the first try, it's not going to mean anything. I've seen people get liposuction and surgery. Some people, they genuinely need it. Some people, they just want it because they're too lazy to get help in like a gym or anything. But I've seen people, even within my own family, that have had surgeries and on top of that gain the weight back because they weren't ready for it. They didn't work for their new body. They can't appreciate it the same way as somebody that worked day in and day out to have a body that they are proud of. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong. I'm not shaming anybody that has this, but what I have seen is people that tend to just go the easy route in life, no matter what circumstance that is, what setting that is, the success, the end goal is not appreciated. And then once you hit that goal immediately, then you're like, now what? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to work for. I don't know what to work towards. So you are more present. You are more appreciative of your winning season when you can learn from these failures and when you can overcome the fear of failure. And you never know, you might not even fail, you know? You might not even fail. You need to also ask yourself if you love what you're doing. If you love your job, if you love the idea of having your own business, if you love the idea of eating healthy, and you love the idea of fashion, you love the idea of makeup, you love these things, you want to incorporate them more into your life, but you're scared that you're going to be bad at it, you're scared that you're not going to do well. Well, everyone starts off terrible. Everyone who's a millionaire started off at 0. Every person that ever was a successful writer started off writing thousands of rejected pages until they got their one hit. And success can never come to those who give up and let their failures and losses find them. It's just not how it goes. It's not how it works. Life doesn't work that way. But if you love what you're doing, learning from mistakes and failure is even more important and even more rewarding in the end when you get to your success. So you have to learn how to stop being so negative and pessimistic. Somebody for years of my life was extremely pessimistic, and it really took a toll on me because I almost associated that with my identity. And when I started viewing things from a negative standpoint, I realized a lot of things weren't working out because I always said that, what if? And if you live your life thinking about the what ifs, you'll never have what God has for you. You'll never have the blessings because you never worked for it. You never even tried because you let that what if define your decisions. I made a promise to myself that I will never let a what if stop me from reaching my goals or from keeping me from the success that's already predestined by God. I don't care who you are. And what hasn't worked for you doesn't mean that it's not going to work for me, because we're very different. We're very different. So learning to have a more positive outlook on things and looking at things in a way of like curiosity, just genuine childlike curiosity. You look at kids and they're not afraid of failure. Look at a child. They are not afraid to fail. They just try a whole bunch of things and then they learn along the way. That's how we grow up. You don't learn the stove is bad until you touch it and burn yourself and you know not to touch the stove, but that doesn't mean that you'll never cook again. We have to have this curiosity about things and just learn along the way. Become a master learner, because when you can learn things and you're open to new experiences, you're open to trying, you're already more successful than so many people who just never tried and live a life of fear.
Get away from people in your life that's hating. Get away from your family members that ain't ever opened a business. Get away from them. Get away from them. I had to do it. When I told everybody I was getting into comedy, man, oh, Lord have mercy. You can't get into comedy. You ain't even funny. How you gonna make money telling jokes? In the beginning, it looked like they was right. I never gave up.
You can't take any advice from people who, one, are not in a position that you want to be in. Like I've had people, when I used to work at a retail store, I had somebody tell me things I should be doing to be successful and wealthy, but at 40 years old, you're working at this small retail store, talking to me about wealth, and you hate your job. You don't like your job. You're telling me and you're showing me that you're living paycheck to paycheck and you are blowing every paycheck that you get. And if at 20 years old, you were not doing something that I view myself doing, you know, you can get a lot of wisdom from older people. And not all of their experiences mean that you're going to experience the same exact thing because you're not on the same path. It also doesn't mean that that is how it's going to play out for you. And something that I get told by a lot of older people is,
well, you really expect your relationship to work, or your business to work, your YouTube channel to work?
You're so young. These people, they don't want to mind their business. They want to be all up in yours. One, they can't see it for themselves happening, so why could they ever see it for you? They're probably mad that at your age, they couldn't have the finances. They couldn't have the financial literacy. They couldn't have what you have at that age. And instead, they started way later, after they were done partying and drinking and going out every night and doing all of these destructive things to their lives. So they're mad, and they can't see themselves doing that. They can't see themselves doing what you're doing. So don't let that discourage you or make you more afraid that failure is going to happen. These people will try to plant things in your head to try to make you believe that you can't achieve that. Ever since I was a teenager, people used my age as a limiting barrier as to why I can't do what I do. But you don't know what I've gone through in order to get to where I am. I have had to believe in myself when no one believed in me. And those are the only people that do end up being successful, because if you let these people infiltrate, and if they do successfully infiltrate your mind and your power and your belief, then the battle is lost. And at the end of the day, when you fail, they're not going to care that you failed. They'll just say, see, told you. A lot of times, it just shows you who people really are. And if you have people within your family that just don't believe in you, the only thing that you can do is just prove them wrong with your success. There's no reason to try to fight it. There's no reason to try to explain or anything like that, because I've had so many people not believe in me. And you know, it's always coming from like a place of care, because they want to see you safe. They don't want you to take risks. They don't want you to go outside of what they feel like is safe. So a lot of times that's where a lot of this disbelief can stem from. But you just have to brush things off and just say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but this is what I am going to do. And leave it at that. Leave it at that. You don't deserve that kind of energy. You don't. So don't let other people define what success looks like for you. Don't let other people define how you can live your life. Don't let other people define what you can and can't do, because the only person that can do that is you. Focus on growth. Focus on learning. And that will make such a big difference in your life. I hope that this video helped you. I love hearing from you guys, so don't forget to subscribe and become a part of the family. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Happy New Year. Bye.